restart. Let's go from the top. Let's try again.
I'll do that little clip in the bit. Anyway, hey everyone, welcome to the show this week, episode 27. And
starting out with a laugh. We just tried this. And
we just tried this. We're doing
again.
it again. You'd think 27 episodes in, I'd have my intros down. We'd have all the,
Yeah, I mean, you're a little foggy, I think, still from the weekend.
Oh,
we
man.
went, had a little golf trip on the weekend, and you got
got
a little banged up both nights, I would say.
No, I was pretty well in control. Maybe a little wobbly on.
We might have to have a vote
Sunday
out there Saturday, Friday night between you and my wife. You two were having fun.
We're away from the dogs. You guys are away from the kids. So just let the hair down a little bit. Let her hair down.
It was a fun weekend. The golf course. We went up to Montebello. The golf course itself was old. It was obviously had a lot of rain. There's some cool elements to it. The greens were crazy on the side of a mountain, as you expect. But would I want to play it every single day? No. But did I have fun? I had a blast.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Yeah, so it was a good weekend in a nice little old town Quebec, and always nice to get into old town Quebec.
I do like that. I feel like everywhere I go in Quebec, I mean, not Montreal, but they do have what I would say, and I hope I don't offend anyone by saying this, nice little villages.
Yeah,
there's nice restaurants and bars, and the hotel was obviously great. And yeah, I'm with you. Is it a course I would play every single day? No, but I think it's good to, if you are on that side of maybe not competitive golf, but sort of wanting to test your game, it's very different.
Yes.
And you go there and, I shot terrible both days. And I think a lot of that was course management and just, the space between the ears. But
it's just like I played Muskoka Bay before, and Muskoka Bay is an amazing golf course, but the first time I played it, I was like, I can't play here. The greens are insane. This is insane.
Yep.
And it's just a difference that when you build a golf course on a mountain and in those huge terrains that the Muskokas get, and Quebec is very mountainous. And, we talked about I played that Lookout Point where you're in the escarpment and, you're learning what an escarpment is, right? Like you get these crazy greens at times. It was a good test, but, would I tell people it's a must go play? No, I would not.
Probably not. Yeah. Probably not. Fair enough. Well, talking about golf courses, you've teed up your good friend Barry from Copetown Woods today, and talking about golf courses that you probably would play every day. I've heard nothing but good things from you about Copetown Woods, just west of Hamilton and Ontario. So if you're around Ontario or just south of the border, I think I haven't been yet, hoping to get there this year, but in your eyes, a must play.
Oh, if you're in the Hamilton area, there's a lot of great golf courses in that area. But from a public run golf course, I can't think of a golf course that I'm more of a fan of. There's a few. We're going to actually talk about a public golf course coming up here in TPC Toronto with the Canadian Open happening this week. And we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that. But the way they run the golf course and their attention to detail and the way the golf course uses and utilizes the land really well, it's in great condition. It's firm. And, if you get a firm golf course, I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's just,
not a lot of trees too, which you're a fan of.
There's trees.
Oh,
there's
a
lot of trees.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees, but I think it's not a tree farm.
Okay.
I don't like tree farm golf courses. You're either a golf course with trees or you're a tree farm that has a golf course through it. And it's just a lovely place, and you're gonna have a good time. You could spend 3 hours on the putting green there, just listen to music. The range has music going on. It's just one of those places where you feel welcome when you get there. You want to go back, and we had a great chat with Barry. So we'll get to that soon because we got some golf to break down. Because it was we didn't see a lot of it, but I watched a fair amount of golf on Sunday. And, the U.S. Women's Open did not disappoint this weekend.
Yeah, 100%. So, as you mentioned, we were away, but, managed to get back. And, I'll be up front. I was watching obviously the U.S. Women's Open, flipping over to the Memorial and the ad breaks. But, didn't get to see a lot of the first 3 rounds. But, Sunday was electric. Obviously, Nelly coming away with the win. And we've got to talk about that first because I am right back in the hunt with the picks.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to I want to call an asterisk here. Like I try to draft Nelly. I don't recall ever saying
I will play
once.
the clip. I will literally
play
the clip.
You use AI too much, so it could be fake news. I'll say this though, right? Like it was one I wasn't cheering against Nelly. I think Nelly might be top 3 favorite golfers in the world right now for me.
Yeah,
her golf swing's amazing. Her attitude's amazing. There was a great story of her on Sunday in the middle of the U.S. Open, and her sister's out there with Nelly's nephew, and Nelly's walking down the fairway, and they're yelling back and forth to her nephew, and just it was such a good tournament, but. It really goes back to venues really fucking matter. That venue, Riv, I don't know the last time we saw Riv at its prime. We saw Riv at its prime this week.
Yep.
When I turned it on Thursday, it was electric. Now, the fans at Riv, when you're at LA, you're at a super private golf course. Yeah, anyone could go, but they weren't ball knowers by any means.
Yeah.
Like there was one where I forget who the player was, but basically they're in a bunker and they had zero chance to go at the pin because it was just going to run off into another bunker. They had to go sideways out of the bunker into the rough. Like so, they basically had it like 8 feet right, and just completely sideways, not even looking at the pin. I think their back was to the pin right. And then they're like clapping after that. Like, it's like if I was a player, I'd be like, can you right? Like, but coming down the stretch, that golf course was playing firm. Charlie Hall absolutely lit up the weekend.
Yep.
And then Nelly kind of just did what she needed to do on Sunday. She got to 7 under and basically just grinded out really good par after really good par after really good par, and then makes that 8-footer on 17, which had some break to it, but makes a birdie to get to 8 under.
That was just a textbook par 5. Obviously she's the longer hitter out there. I'm sure she was going for the green in 2, but missed in the right spot, short left, plenty of green to work with, great chip on, and like you say, not a easy putt by any means, but holds it for the birdie and goes into 18 knowing she's just got to make par.
Yeah, hits a great one down the fairway, hits on the green. Nestles it up to 2 feet, and you're like, oh, well, it's obviously in the cup. Oh man, did she give every
Nelly.
inch? Whoa, Nelly, did she give every inch of that cup? Like that ball,
it did a full 180.
You go back and look at that putting stroke, horrific.
Yeah,
she is clearly so nervous. Biggest win, picks up her second major this year, her 4th for her career. Basically all but guarantees. The LPGA does a little bit different with their Hall of Fame.
Yep.
It's like a points-based system, but she's basically, I think she has 25 or 27 points to basically get in the Hall of Fame. It's at this point now where it's like, how many is she going to get, right? Mm-hmm. And the difference with the LPGA and obviously the PGA, like she's 27. That on the PGA Tour is like a 44-year-old. And it sounds crazy. And what I mean by that is, she's getting married this year. Her sister just had a kid. She might want to start a family. You saw Madeline Sagstrom out there playing 7 months pregnant, which is just fucking badass. Like so sick, just out there. And there was a great video of her and her caddy earlier in the week, or it might have been the week before, going over some stuff. And he was like, oh, they're playing to a par 3 in a practice round. He's like, oh, it used to be a 7-iron until you got fat. And I thought that was so funny. And they're just going back and forth. But like, I think what the biggest thing I got out of this week, other than the great venue, the great the course was great, the tournament itself lived up to the hype. Only 15 players under par for the week.
Yep.
Was the LPGA needs. I think what they need to find a way to do is it's basically impossible, but they would really need to create a better alliance with the PGA Tour. If the PGA Tour cares about growing the game, which again, we don't know what that means, is we need to be able to grow the game with women as well. Mm-hmm. And what this allowed this week was we had the PGA Tour playing in Ohio, right? So they were done by, I think, 6 p.m. Right. Well, now the ladies are still now in prime time in California. So now we have them on the TV until I think it wrapped up at 9:30, 9 o'clock last night, whatever it was. Right. That's awesome. And again, it's very difficult. And I'm saying, big picture, the PGA Tour doesn't give a shit. But if the LPGA can somehow figure out what the schedule is going to be and then counteract where their TV windows are now earlier and work out that so we can get the ladies game on there, because it's exciting. Like that was a super exciting finish. Now there was some unexciting stuff where I forget her name right now, where she couldn't.
Siwei Kim.
Yeah, couldn't.
No,
NG Chun. NG Chun.
Oh, NG Chun.
No, it was Seyoung Kim.
Yeah.
Couldn't find the pin and took like 4 minutes to hit her golf shot. Well, Nellie's got the biggest shot in her life going down. Like,
well, I saw KVV from Fried Egg post something on Twitter today, and he may well have been trolling, but apparently she's red-green colorblind, and the pins were red.
But she did say there was a lot of red shirts, so I don't know. But either way.
Yeah, Caddy was basically said the guy in the red shirt, and she's like, there's tons of people in red shirts.
Yeah, so, and then, the caddy's trying to get her to hit, I believe, an 8-iron, and she wants the 9,
she ends up hitting
goes
wedge.
Back and forth, comes up way short, which if you watch the rest of the round, that was her whole story of that day, was just coming up short. But no, it was so good. I love that tournament. I love the venue. We got some amazing venues coming up for the ladies on the U.S. Open. I know they're going to Shinnecock. They're going to Oakmont.
The ladies are going to Shinnecock?
Yeah. They're going to Interlaken, which is another
sorry, for following U.S. Women's Opens.
It's it's going to, like, venues matter, and especially for that. So it was great. I think, as we highlighted last week, what my ideal scenario is we have back-to-back weeks, and I know that was very hard on Pinehurst, so you need to have a certain golf course that can handle that.
Yeah.
But like the same course the same year would be really
awesome.
That
I would absolutely love that. And just quickly talking about Riv in its prime, because it is such a shame that we see the guys there so early in the year. We've already mentioned, we're seeing guys hitting 5 woods out of the rough that was sticking next to the pin. You've got the green's just so firm at the weekend. 18 playing downwind, I think from 156. Nelly hits a wedge, and like you basically bring up everything sort of 20 yards short and just trying to get the right bounce as it hops forward. Absolutely electric, awesome finish.
It's cool. I don't know if you saw too, number 6, we were talking about that extended fairway, and they kind of built that up. That played a huge part this week. Basically every single lady hit it down that right side, which is
which
crazy.
Doesn't happen. I think the only guy to do that on Sunday with the men was Jacob Bridgman.
Yeah, it kind of played, and so we're going to see Riv a lot coming up. It is the host for the Olympics, which will be interesting. How does that play? That will be cool to see the ladies and the men out there on the same course, which is a great venue, obviously. So Riv's awesome. I think it's it might be. It's my favorite venue on tour every single year. In my opinion, I would rather see that than Pebble. I think Pebble is a close one if we're talking just regular tour venues. But it was great, and Nelly came out to a rough start and just battled back 67, 67, 69 on the weekends. So
well, and just quickly, apart from talking about Nelly, you had awesome finishes from Gabby Lopez. She holed, I think, a 25-ish footer for birdie. There were only 3 birdies on 18 all day. She holed that to get into a tie for the lead at the time. Charlie Hull made a clutch par putt from, I think, 10 or 12 feet. And she brings up, she still hasn't won a major. That's I think multiple. She's sort of the Tommy Fleetwood of the women's game, unfortunately, at this point.
5 runner-ups in majors.
Yeah, that's tough. And she played really, really well. But yes, it was a fantastic Sunday. Very quickly talking about the guys at the Memorial. Ryan Gerard and JT Post. I don't know. JT Poston is now a 4-time PGA Tour winner.
Yeah, one of those guys that doesn't have really big, loud traits out there on tour. Not the longest guy. Really good putter. But
4 wins is nothing to be sneezed at.
No. Really good iron player as well, and just kind of picks up another dub. And from all, I've never met JT or any encounters, but everyone just says like one of the super kind of down to earth guys out on the PGA Tour.
Again, as we mentioned, we're away this weekend, and when we were watching golf, it was the women, so I didn't see a lot of the men. But two of my favorite moments. We've spoken a lot about emotion, And, we love the guys like Cam Young and Jacob Bridgman winning for the first time. But what I love seeing out of Ryan Gerard and JT Poston in that final round was a bit of back and forth, a few fist pumps, a few yells, making clutch putts. That was really cool to see. But my favorite moment was in the playoff. And you talk about ball knowers. Ryan Gerard hit his, I'm not sure if it was in regulation or in the first playoff hole, hit his tee shot on 18. It's very 484-yard par 4, very tough hole. And he hits a draw kind of over the bunkers, and the crowd, someone yells, "Get in the bunker!" Picks up his tee, looks in, and he goes, "It's not in the bunker, dog." I thought that was pretty cool.
That was sick. Yeah, Ryan Gerard's been real hot for a while now. So I thought he kind of basically had it once he got into that playoff, but only has that one win. He's 26. He's one of those guys that, if I'm the Ryder Cup, he's the type of guy you got to bring to the President's Cup. I think you got to bring a couple.
He's a bit of a dog.
Yeah, you got to bring a couple new faces. I think this year, and just try to bring some guys in. The President's Cup is what it is. You don't need all the big guns out there. Like get some of these more unique guys out, because they got to try some stuff.
Yeah, try and maybe test some guys out for the Ryder Cup, because we're the international team. We've worked there. I mean, you could probably put $5 on the international team and win a boatload of money if they did happen to pull it off. So it's not looking good. Just quickly before we get into very quickly the preview for this week, and we'll get to Barry in a second. Obviously, we're recording this on Monday. We had the U.S. Open qualifying today. I know there'll be lots more news to come out, but right as we were about to record, Miles Russell has made it. He made birdie in the playoff, so he's in. And I haven't got the news yet, but Billy Horschel and Neil Shipley were 7 and 8 under respectively, and I think they were waiting to see if they're in a playoff. So maybe we'll post a list as well once we get all the scores that come in from today and see who made it.
I mean, shout out to Ryan French. Basically, their website has everything coming in. As live, it's
MondayQinfo.com.
It's really, really cool. So
why don't you build that for us, man?
Ben Silverman, Canadian,
he made it.
Basically, looking like a lock here to get in at down in Florida. Kevin Roy, whatever it is, Max Gracerman getting in. Taylor Montgomery, I saw Max Homa was playing the one in Canada today. I don't know if he ended up getting in. Let's see here. Looks like he did not get in.
Interesting. We'll have to.
It looks like Max did get in into the U.S. Open. There's six qualifying spots. He was in a playoff. I do not know how that playoff finished up at this point. But the going through the list of these, it's pretty funny. Neil Shipley got in at Springfield. I saw a great stat. Nick Hardy got in at Springfield. Every single year, 2026 got in at Springfield. 2025 got in at Springfield.
Really?
2024. I think it leads all the way back to 2022. This guy gets in.
Just loves that course.
Must just love this golf course. Zach Blair, another guy getting in. So there's
Zach
a lot
Johnson? No, you don't. That was a joke.
I hope not. Tom Kim was actually at a qualifier in Dallas. Looks like he's getting in as well.
Okay.
But this is the longest day in golf. The crazy thing is, I don't know. I haven't actually looked this up, but so yesterday at the Memorial, JT Poston played 33 holes yesterday due to all the rain delays. If he did not win yesterday, he would have had to play the 36-hole qualifier today. I'm sure there's guys, a bunch of guys that played at least probably 27 to 30 holes yesterday that are at a qualifier
playing
today.
36 today.
And it probably isn't going very well. That would be exhausting.
That's unreal. Unreal. Let's quickly get to obviously coming up this week. So US Open is 2 weeks away. Less than 2 weeks away now, but we do have the Canadian Open at TPC Toronto coming up this week before we get into the chat with Barry. So let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously back at TPC Toronto this year, which is another one that you've raved about.
Yeah, so we're up at TPC Toronto this week. I'll say this: I love TPC Toronto. I love the way it's run. I love the golf courses. I think all three are great. It's not a tour venue. It really isn't. This golf course, it's not even the best golf course on the property that they're playing.
Yeah, you said the Hoots actually.
Yeah, the Hoots better. It will be interesting. The field is rough this week. We don't have.
We've got Justin Rose in there.
You got
Tommy Fleetwood.
you got Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Alex Fitzpatrick. But for the first time, Rory's not there. Max Homa will be there, but Brooks is actually going to be there.
Yeah, Brooks is going to be there.
He's played
Tony
many
Finau.
of them. Shane Lowry, local guy. Ashton McCullough's in the field.
I don't actually think it's that bad.
It's not great. If we look at the strength of the field, it's really not great, and it never really is that great. But it's Canadian Open. It's somewhat. It's a national open. Technically, there's a lot of Canadians in the field, but. Yeah, well,
I will be obviously our Kingston boy Ashton McCullough there making his pro debut this weekend. So I'll be keeping my eye on that, and I'm not away this weekend, so I will be tuning into that. Mainly because it's I like the tournament, and it's just down the road from us here. So looking forward to it. What do you have thinking back on Canadian Opens? And you said the strength of the field this week is rough, but we have had some great ones over the years. So. Have you had a favorite?
I mean, it's the one close to my heart was the one I caddy in. Rory picked up a win at Hamilton. Hamilton being awesome. There's obviously your thoughts with Tiger. Hitting the ones out of the bunker, but in the last couple of years they've kind of blended together. I mean, Nick Taylor, that was an amazing moment.
Was unreal.
Like that's got to be number one. For everybody. So there's always been these great moments, but it just where it continues to be in the schedule right now, you just kind of get these fields. But basically, once there was that stretch when they left Glen Abbey, and we had Hamilton and we had Oakdale, and Oakdale was what it was, but St. George's was really good. So there's a lot of good. It's a great tournament. At one point, people used to call it almost like the fifth major. It was that important to the PGA Tour back in the day. So I'm really looking forward to it this week. I'm going to watch a ton of golf. It just, it's, like I said, I think venues matter. And unfortunately, I just don't see this as a good tour venue. It just kind of feels like other TPC venues right now.
Fair enough.
Right. Other than TPC Sawgrass, like there's a couple dud TPC venues. I don't think this place is dud. I think it's a great golf course. I think if you're thinking of a great stay and play, go there. If you're looking for attention to detail and great staff and all that, go there. I think it's awesome. That doesn't, like, both things can be true.
Yeah. Well, tour of it, it's another kettle of fish, right?
Exactly. But yeah, we got a long one with Barry. So why don't we get to
let's
the,
go along with
picks,
exactly. Barry's waiting in the waiting room. You got first pick this week, and just quickly, so we alluded to it at the start. I picked up. You're going to put an asterisk next to this. I don't care. I'm going to play the clip back because we're only picking the woman 5 times. You can only pick a player once. Anyway, I picked up $2.5 million for my win with Nelly. They had a prize.
Good thing
pool.
Gino barely made the cut. Holy moly.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I would have been way out in front. So yeah, I picked up $2.5 million. You picked up $95,000. We both had duds really over on you had more of a dud than me. You've missed 2 cuts in a row now with the men's, which is tough sledding, but luckily for you in that stretch I only had a T17 and a T36, so I picked up another $200,000 on you, but that gap is erased now. You are $5,700 in front of me in the season-long race.
Fuck, great.
So you got to pick up your socks.
I played really well this week. Actually had the lead late on Sunday. Thought maybe he's going to actually pick up a real win on the PGA Tour. And let's see how he does.
Dan,
I haven't taken him. Tommy Fleetwood. Well, I mean, he won a 29-player field.
He won the Tour Champion. It's still the Tour Championship.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, we're going Tommy Fleetwood v. Sam Burns then.
Sam Burns played well here.
He did play well. I think his game's trending. I really wanted to pick my homegrown Kiwi boy, Ryan Fox. Obviously, he's defending champion this year. Just too important at this stage of the season. He's not in the form that he was. So I'll be rooting for him. And if he does play well, I'll obviously have to eat my fist. But we got Tommy v. Sam Burns. It'll be a good matchup.
I think it's Canadian Open. I'm throwing this out in the middle of this right now. Didn't prep you for this. We each have to take a Canadian as well. You can have first pick.
Okay, well, I'll go Nick Taylor.
All right, I will go. Give me
Got to go Ashton, surely.
No, give me Yellow Mirage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, give me Yellow Mirage.
He didn't go well for me a few weeks ago,
So let's write those down,
Okay.
and then you can also have Mike Weir. And
What, we're picking multiple Canadian picks?
You can have Mike Weir, and I'll take Justin Rose.
What Justin Rose is not Canadian? What are you talking
close
about?
Enough. Fine. You can have Mike Weir, and I'll take Ashton.
Okay,
there you go.
Well, Ashton,
that's not fair. We cut both those guys.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that.
Sorry,
anyway,
Ashton.
We got Barry waiting in the waiting room. So again, really looking forward to this conversation. We'll drop all of Copetown Woods' socials in the description. Make sure you follow along. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, folks. We got another guest. So I said Barry from Copetown Woods would be joining us this week to talk about, everything public golf, the influx of players coming in, the rising costs in golf. But, one of my favorite public golf courses in Ontario. I actually have quoted on here saying my favorite public golf course in Ontario. Won't let me join. We're going to get to that at some point. But Barry, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me out to your golf course many times. It's always a great experience. Was there earlier this year, pulled out my wallet to pay, and somehow Barry says, "Oh, your money's no good here." What was up with that? Was it because I was with a local celebrity, or was he lucky he was with me?
Your personal friend.
You know what? Yeah, and you know what? They, I would say both Brad and James were lucky. They were with you that day, and so
Right.
yeah, no. Honestly, that's I mean, those a couple good guys that you played with that are always good to me, and yeah, I mean, Duffy's he's a legend, and we're his home course we're his shoulder month home course is what I consider us.
Shoulder season home course. Yeah.
Shoulder season home course.
Guy plays way too much golf. But why don't we get into the history of Copetown Woods?
Sure.
Famously a broccoli farm, part of the logo. And yeah, why don't you talk me through, going from that to the course it is today?
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, broccoli. So my dad and uncle were broccoli farmers. I grew up working on the farm. Golf was not a part of our, lingo or activity. It's not something that farmers really, get time to do. I mean, that's one of the reasons my dad, he never played golf. He didn't do, he didn't play golf. We didn't have a cottage. We didn't, none of that stuff. So kind of moving forward into the late 90s, he played baseball and hockey. And so he blew out his knee playing baseball. And at that time, after that, he couldn't play baseball anymore and couldn't play hockey. So he started playing golf. So we're kind of mid to late 90s, Tiger boom era. He started playing golf and started kind of going to some different places and, thought to himself, well, gosh, I mean, these people run these businesses, their parking lots are jam packed. I have a piece of property that is underperforming, not 200 acres, not conducive to growing vegetables, really sandy soil. So not great for vegetables, but amazing for golf. So he essentially just kind of, thought, well, instead of selling it, he tried all different things and couldn't make anything work. And I remember growing up and working on the farm, and that piece of property, specifically where the clubhouse sits, like, you get nothing out of that portion of the property because it's a pure sand deposit. So, he kind of basically just started talking to me about it. I'm the youngest of 5. I have 4 older sisters. So I was supposed to be the chosen one. I was supposed to be the farmer. I went to school for sports management. I had no interest in being a farmer. That was not going to be my thing.
Which, as everyone knows, very difficult to get into. Real difficult program to get into.
Yeah, well, and so while I was there, while I was in school, he asked me, he said, what would you think about running, about if we were to build a golf course? And I was like, sure. Yeah. I mean, sounds great. That was in 97 or 98, I guess. And so, that conversation led to more conversations, led to going through the kind of, through the application process. And that took a few years and to get all the studies done and everything. And then from there, the first dozer was on the ground April 1st, 2002. And we opened the doors June 2nd, 2003. So 14 months start to
Wow,
finish,
It's quick.
which is quick. Didn't move a ton of earth, which made it go quicker. At the time too, there was definitely some other courses, a bunch of other golf courses in Ontario that had kind of recently opened within, call it, the last 10 years. A lot of those golf courses were opening up with, trailers as a clubhouse, which is, makes perfect business sense. Bring some revenue in before you kind of continue to outlay more capital. We had the luxury of we already owned the land, so that wasn't a huge a huge added cost to us from a capital expense, and so we built a clubhouse right off the get-go too. So December of the year before we opened, that clubhouse construction started, and everything opened. Paved parking lot, full clubhouse, banquet facilities, everything opened. If I wish I could kind of look back. I wish there was like content that we have now, the stuff that we're doing, the
Yeah.
content, the stupid stuff that I do all the time. I wish I had that from back then so I could really see it and kind of compare it. But it's funny to look back and think of it now, and funny to look back and think of it now of what that we quite literally we opened a golf course with zero experience. So I left school and went and managed privately owned sports facilities like hockey rinks, slow pitch diamonds, ran adult leagues, tournaments, that kind of thing. And then the year before we opened, came back and started outside working with the superintendent, kind of helping with irrigation and drainage. And then come first snowfall, I moved inside to our office at our farm and started kind of getting everything going. And and again, zero experience. One of my sisters came to open things up on the food and beverage side. Her experience was she was a waitress. And so
Hey, that's close.
Yeah. I mean, it's there, right? And so at the end of the day, and what I still say to this day, like, we're not splitting the atom. There is nothing difficult about what we do. It's just paying attention and caring, right? And so you go to a golf course or a restaurant or anywhere you go. What do you want to see? You want good facilities. You want good conditions, and you want nice people. Like, those are the three main pillars of what the golf business is and what we do. So if you can check those boxes, I mean, it's easy to be successful. The fourth box would be don't be greedy.
Yeah,
Who-
for sure.
Who originally designed the golf course?
Dick Kirkpatrick is his name. So Dick was a golf course builder. So his dad started his own golf course construction company. Dick started working for him in the 50s, building a lot of Robbie Robinson golf courses and all across Ontario. And so our golf course is his first solo design from the ground up. So we chatted with other designers and other call it named designers. Not only were they astronomical in terms of cost of for their fees for what they were going to do, they wouldn't guarantee how many times they would show up. Okay, they come out and they walk the golf course, and then they get their topo maps and they go through the motions, they get a design, and then they show up maybe 3-4 times. Dick was there quite literally every single day that there was work being done. There was not one day that Dick missed. And the best part, there was a couple of kind of fun, interesting and funny stories of that process. Again, I was like 24, zero idea what the hell I was doing. And I was out with him the one day, just kind of walking around. And he, at the time, I actually kind of think he was a little bit pissed that I was kind of running the golf side, because he thought it should have been like a real golf person. So I think if you were to ask him now, I think he'd be okay with it. But we were out there, and so the first green that was roughed in and shaped was the 9th green, which is the one in front of the clubhouse. And he didn't like the way the guy was shaping it, so he kicked the guy off the dozer and got on and did it himself, which is kind of cool. And now there's a lot of designers now that are kind of those design build people. But then it wasn't really the case. And so he did that. And just watching him kind of make sure that the golf course construction crew was paying attention and caring about what they were doing, that, he had his laser level out, and, he shows me the levels of the first tee decks that were built or that were completed and seated. And so he said, just watch this. And he kind of like nudged it so it was level, and then he nudged it where it was off a little bit, and he showed the guy, and he's like, rip them up, do every one of these, there's 4 decks, do them over again. And so,
Yeah.
I'm looking at him, I'm like, Jesus, like that's going to cost a few bucks to do. And he's like, yeah, but it's going to save down the road because every T deck is going to be perfectly level. And so I'm like, okay, fair. So interesting kind of little side note about that. So yeah, and local guy too. He was from Carlisle, lived in Carlisle, still lives in Burlington. So he doesn't come around too often anymore. He's kind of getting up there a little bit, but he's he was great and always kind of came around and he paid attention and he cared.
Yeah, and like you say, it's one of those 3 things, that attention to detail, especially on a golf course, and the facilities makes a massive difference. I just wanted to go back to something you said earlier, because you actually answered one of the questions I had. 14 months from kind of the dirt coming up and the golf course opening, which is incredible. But you said that story or that idea sort of started back in 97, 98. So presumably that planning process is extensive and maybe even longer than what it took to build the course itself. So what does that look like when you decide, hey, we're going to build a golf course? What's all the stuff that needs to happen before the shovels go into the ground?
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that I wish I was today years old when we built the golf course, because I knew nothing about the golf industry. I knew nothing about golf course design, and not that I'm an expert in anything now, but I have a better idea of kind of how things work, and how if I could redesign our golf course now, there's definitely some things that I would change in terms of kind of how things are laid out. But I'm fully thrown into that right now, I'm not sure, Steph, if you're even aware of this or not, if it was discussed when you were there. I haven't talked about it publicly. This isn't, I'm not standing on any rooftops yelling about it, but it's public information. We're pretty deep into the planning process right now with the city of Hamilton to build another, build another. So an expansion of the current business as a 10-hole, short, fast, and fun, 6 par 3s, 4 par 4s, not to tie in with the existing 18, but same property, same clubhouse, same parking lot. We own the property. Over half of it we farmed. My dad farmed broccoli on it as well, and so we're in that process right now. And somebody that, Steph, you probably know, Christine Fraser, is who we selected as designer. So been working, close with Christine. But so back to Cole, your kind of your original question of what's that process look like? I mean, it's a lot. There's no doubt about it. So we're pushing 5 years deep on this expansion, to get to the point where we're kind of in talks with the city of Hamilton. We're kind of back and forth a little bit with our consultants to be able to provide some more technical data. But it's every before that application even gets submitted to the city, it's every study you could ever imagine under the sun. Anything from the obvious things of the environmental and the water, but it's like it's archaeology, it's traffic, it's noise, it's light. Like we had to do a light study. Well, we're not lighting the golf course, but like, are the mower lights going to cause light at 5 a.m. or it's little things like that you don't necessarily maybe think of. And then you get into the environmental side and the habitat, the environmental impact study and the agricultural impact assessment and the breeding birds study that's part of it, and the salamander, and if there's a specific salamander found on the property, or there's a butternut tree, basically you may as well just kind of wrap up and pack up and go home. And so we've gone through all of that. We've got all of those studies done, and so nothing will happen this year. We're kind of in that red tape moment of kind of getting this pushed through. But yeah, it's a process and a half, and it's not a cheap process either, as you might expect.
No, that's crazy. I actually have chills. That's awesome. I'm sure Christine, even though just having her on that, she's probably even giving you other little pieces of advice on the big course too. Just such an attention to detail person. I am curious with all of what you're learning now. and you probably don't have this number. Let's just assume you built Copetown Woods on the same piece of property today. What would you think the rough price would have been if you built that in 2026 dollars?
That's a great question. Again, owning the land, made a big
huge
difference.
Advantage, obviously.
Yeah, huge advantage. But I couldn't put a number on it to be honest with you. When we built it, I think people, there are certain things we keep close to our chest, and that's kind of one of them of what it costs to build. People would be surprised at what it costs to build, and not in the expensive way. We coming from a farming background, and my dad and uncle. I mean, we had a lot of equipment already that we used to kind of supplement we had a golf course construction company contracted to build it, but there's a whole bunch of ancillary things that we could do ourselves that that we were able to.
You had some farm boys out there helping.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Exactly. And so all that kind of stuff made for it to be a little maybe leaner on the pocketbook. But it I think it was people always used to say $1 million a hole or something like that. I mean, we could have built a few golf courses for that. So so yeah, I mean, what would it be like today? Would it be 15, 20, maybe something along those lines? But yeah, it's hard to say. And we didn't move a ton of earth, which makes a huge difference. That's the biggest cost is that between that and irrigation. Those are the things. And I mean, that's as we kind of move into our current project and what we're doing, the grass type, the grass selection becomes a major factor in not only from an environmental standpoint and for water usage, but that water usage, if you can get away with single row instead of double row, down a fairway, well, you're dropping your expenses big time, and because irrigation's not cheap, and so it's something that would be more of a kind of a grow in phase, and ensure that we're getting a good grow in on it, to down the road, the grass types that we've selected, that we're going to use, a fescue mix across the entire property, aside from the greens, which would be bent grass. This fescue mix, minimal inputs, and we're going to be more than okay if it goes brown and dormant in the summer, and plays short, fast, and fun. That's kind of what I keep saying, and it'll do just that. So.
Oh, you're speaking right to my heart. That's all I'm about. I really love it's the fact that you didn't move a lot of land out there. You think of some of the best golf courses in the world that you've played, and especially if you go over to Scotland and Ireland, it's like, the earth created the golf course and you just laid out some holes on it. And it just creates for some reason, it creates a different vibe when you're playing that golf course. And now that I think about a bunch of the holes out there, right? Yeah, no, there's really nothing really moved around. I'm sure you had to move stuff for different greens and yada, 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 and creating some of that type of stuff. But it's kind of cool seeing that. And it's like, hey, this is the land, come play on it. And then now you create this golf course, and it's, as you're well aware, is, it's a fully public golf course, right? It's like, hey, we've built it, you come play it now. Yep. I am curious, has Copetown always been 100% public? Have you had memberships in the past? I know you do have your society members now. Can you kind of talk about the process of going through that? And, has there ever been a temptation to go private with the rising costs of golf and the want from golfers for almost more private facilities?
Yeah. So the easiest decision ever was, we're, again, probably 2002, the year before we opened, maybe year before we opened, it was a conversation with my dad, and I said, okay, so I know we're not going to go fully private, but there's a golf course right around the corner from us that's semi-private that has, 300 or 400 members, and then, and then the rest public. Are we going to go semi-private or are we going to go public? And two things that he had in this kind of part of the same conversation that I had, where he just looked me straight in the face, and I knew he was serious, is, are we going to have members? The answer was, I've run my business for 30 years and made enough money with nobody telling me what to do, and I'm not about to start. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
So no members. And in that same kind of conversation was, I don't have a clue how to set up a budget, what to budget, what we need. Like I have no idea, like how to forecast. How much revenue we're going to bring in, whatever. And he said, "What do you need a budget for? If the parking lot, if the sun's shining, the parking lot better be full. And if it's not and it's raining, then we need to cut our staff, cut expenses, and take what you get. Take what you can." So we, to this day, we have no members. We've never even kind of thought about having members. And we don't budget. We don't budget. We don't forecast. If somebody, which there are definitely golf course owners and golf course GMs that have questioned me on it, and I said, well, I mean, until somebody can, I mean, they can't accurately forecast the weather like 2 days out, let alone tell me what the summer is going to be like, and I'll tell you how many rounds I'm going to do. Tell me how many sunny days I'm going to do, and I know if it's a sunny day, I'm going to put 280 to 300 golfers out there. So that's we keep things very simple. Like quite literally, we keep things very simple.
Mm-hmm. And back to what you're saying at the start, right? I guess, Barry, is you focus on those things, the condition of the course, the attention to detail, the staff, and certainly for us as golfers, those are the things. It's like, hey, you got that. Like the golfers are going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not. We're not splitting the atom. It's a very simple, simple formula to, just do what you would want to see somewhere else. It's like, raising kids, like treat others as you would want to be treated. Put a product out there that you're proud of and that you would want to actually go and pull money out of your own pocket and take time out of your day to go and do that. And what I always say to my staff is that we have the easiest job in the world. Golfers coming to play golf, whether it's Copetown Woods or it's any golf course, it doesn't matter where it is. When they are going to play golf, today is their day. They're probably going to shoot their best score. They might get a hole in one. Like, this is the golfer's mindset. And you guys are like thinking like,
yeah.
Oh shit, like, oh yeah, like this is exactly what I'm thinking. And so if we can leave the golfer with feeling like that when they, after they're done, like we've done our job. Like, they're gonna shank one off the first tee and they're gonna have a breakfast ball and they're not gonna shoot their best round and they're not gonna come close to a hole in one. But that's okay. So those feelings aside, if they feel that they've received value for what they've paid and enjoyed themselves in a great atmosphere, like, easy game.
Love it.
I love that. Now we're talking about that influx of players coming in. Obviously, I'm sure since 2003, there's been highs, there's been lows in terms of play and everything, and rough seasons, and obviously we're on this continuous high ever since COVID. What has changed about Copetown Woods, and how have you basically taken that influx of revenue coming in to improve anything to do with the golf course, whether that's changing holes or, improving different greens or better bunkers or whatever it is? What's been your philosophy on creating a better experience with that influx of players coming in?
Yeah, so I mean, we're, again, kind of going back to like the whole no budget thing and kind of seeing how things roll, play out kind of on a day-to-day basis. We've always put money back into the golf course, into the facilities. It's definitely something that we don't, if we see something that's kind of, that needs to be taken care of, like we do it. Like we make sure it's done all the time and right away. From a kind of a bigger capital investment, that's definitely assisted us in terms of, of equipment. Obviously, the influx in golfers and the revenue that is associated with that, comes an influx in staff, comes an influx in, more maintenance to the golf course with more wear and tear. Those, more footprints equals more, more attention that needs to be paid to, to certain areas of the golf course. And so, between, staffing and equipment, those would be the two kind of biggest things that, where that money goes, right? Is it nice to be a golf course owner these days? Yeah. I wouldn't say say that it's not. But at the end of the day, the golf courses that are that are kind of, bringing that money in and kind of tucking it away and or taking it and using it, paying out, giving to, shareholder dividends and things like that. I mean, that's great, but how we look at it. And so kind of to back it up a little bit. So I left the golf course from 2013 to 19. I left for 7 years. I wanted to go out and kind of do my own thing. I did not want to be the guy that was running the golf course because his dad owned it. I had no interest in being that guy. I wanted to kind of, as kind of stupid as it sounds, like chart my own course. It's kind of cheesy, but with the thought in the back of my mind that I would come back at one point. And so so I went and worked at Wasserman, which is now called the Team, sports marketing agency. The last 4 years I was there, I ran RBC's golf portfolio. So I went out and stayed within the industry, went out and saw tons of different golf courses, some of the best golf courses in North America, would run 30 events a year, came back. And the first winter I came back, it was December of 2019. So it was pre-COVID. And so the one thing I said to my dad is, we sat down for a coffee the very first day, and I said, there's this, and this have to change. And he said, Jesus, you've been here for 10 minutes and you've told me there's 5 things wrong with the place. And I said, okay, well, be prepared because I've only been here for 10 minutes. And he's like old school farmer, like kind of a pretty intimidating guy.
Don't hit in his backyard is what I was told.
Don't hit in his backyard. And so I mean, the one kind of the biggest thing was your staff suck. This place is so boring. There's no atmosphere here. Like it's terrible. And so that was kind of one of the big things that I wanted to fix and kind of create a bit of a better atmosphere. And then COVID hits. We had no idea what to expect. We, once we were able to finally open, floodgates opened, we're like, holy Christ, this is insane. Like the demand for tee times, and we all thought it would kind of wane off and, level out at some point. Obviously it didn't and still hasn't. But it's, I mean, it's something that I've always, so since I came back in end of 2019, I said to my dad, and, that first year, 2 years, he started questioning kind of a lot of the stuff that I do and kind of how I, manage and market the golf course. But I kept saying to him, just be patient, because every decision that I make isn't for today or for tomorrow. It's like a 2-year, we don't forecast, but I forecast in my own mind of kind of envision how I want to see it and what I think, the decisions I make today, how is that going to look 2 years down the road, 5 years, 10 years? Because I'm not going to find another job. I now have 3 kids that are all working at the golf course, whether they want to be involved or not. That's, I'm not pushing them. The best thing I did is leave for 7 years. So, the best thing that I did for me and for our business was leaving for 7 years and then coming back. And so, so those back to kind of, tucking those funds away, we're making decisions to invest back into the golf course and, invest to build another golf course. Like we want to, this is a long-term plan. And if it'd be, it's my dad's, he started it and, I'm kind of taking it on now. And as he slowly kind of works his way out and, we want this to be a long-term play and, if we can turn this into something that's generational, I mean, that's awesome. And it would be amazing to see that down the road. But, so we always have invested back in, and I think it shows in the facilities and kind of how things are kept, and we pay attention. And I don't know if I'm allowed to swear in this podcast or not. But it's, oh yeah. Okay. So like, I mean, we give a shit. We give a shit. And that's what I say to our staff. Like, you can go and work at other places, whether it's another golf course or whether it's any kind of business. And I say, like, just think of other places where you go and where if there's an owner, call it if it's a single owner or it's an ownership, a group of owners that are there and involved and actually care, or if it's just a place that is owned by somebody and it's just kind of run by people who don't really have a vested interest and don't give a shit.
Just had that this weekend, Barry. We were just up at Chateau Montebello playing that golf course, and you're looking at $130 a round, and they couldn't even be bothered to change the tee blocks or change the pins back-to-back days. Yeah. And that's exactly what you're talking about. You got a big corporation that you have these small, people from the town that looking for a job that,
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to put anything more into it. And it's unfortunate, but you see it a lot. And that's where the argument we kind of had on the previous podcast about the rising cost of golf is that there's a lot of this influx, and I'm not seeing an influx in caring. It's frustrating, you go play, another public golf course that you drive by and it's packed 12 hours a day, whatever you want to call it, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., whatever you want to call it, 14 hours a day. And then you get there and you're like, where's the reinvestment, right? And then like even on a flat tee block, right? I know it's not cheap to do it, but if you're paying that many people are coming through the doors, right? That seems to be kind of, I would say, if the tee blocks are flat and there's grass on them and the greens are good, you can kind of get away with the rest of the place not being in the best condition, right? It's nice to see that kind of investment back in before you see a nice new car in the parking lot or whatever it is. And that's what you're kind of talking about, the tucking away the money or reinvesting it in yourself. And you should be able to do that. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to do that. But,
no, absolutely.
As a consumer, there's the frustrating parts of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's every business owner, golf course or otherwise, is different in how they operate and what they're, how they see things and kind of where they want things to go. But that's, we look at kind of, within the four walls of, property boundaries of Copetown Woods, and we don't typically kind of look around elsewhere. And, no offense to anybody else, but we do what works for us. And that's how we operate in everything we do.
Mm-hmm. You talked about obviously the rising costs of staffing and conditioning, but obviously now this year and inflation's gone even further. Where are your biggest rising costs right now running a golf course?
Labor's by far and away the biggest one, which is no surprise. I mean, and again, you can go to those same places that maybe wouldn't, they're kind of their give a shit level isn't quite as high maybe as others, and they maybe are kind of running with a really short crew, and kind they're understaffed and they're the turf. Now we operate with a lean crew, but we try to do our best to drive efficiency in everything that we do. And so, you can go into some golf courses and their pro shop will have 3 or 4 people standing around. Well, I've got myself that I'm kind of willing, ready and willing to jump in, to check people in or answer phones or do whatever. And my golf services manager that, oversees all things golf. And then we would have one person in the shop, that's scheduled in the morning and one in the afternoon. That's all we roll with. And, there's ways and, efficiencies to be able to kind of get around, we can check people. One person is good enough. One person can easily check in, all of the golfers. There should be no concerns over that as long as you've got the right software. And so, from there and then being strategic about your, how you do things of online booking, trying to drive as many people to that. We open our tee times up at 10 p.m. 2 weeks plus 2 hours in advance to, we show up at 5 in the morning and we're booked basically solid until 2 or 3 p.m. that 2 weeks out. So there's not a lot of room for phone calls to be able to make bookings. So the phone doesn't ring a crazy amount. It still does. But again, so from a staffing efficiency standpoint, that makes a huge difference. And I mean, again, we have some pretty good, our superintendent has been with us since 2007. He's a young guy too. We gave him the superintendent position in 2007. I think he's like 41 or 42. So he was young when we gave him that. And, he certainly has, I'm sure he's had offers to go elsewhere, and whether how far he's, how deep he's entertained those offers, I don't know, but I do know that, he said, friends of his that are members at private clubs or what have you, he said, I couldn't even imagine going and, if I needed to do something, again, we don't give him a budget. It's if you need to do something because of the weather or because of something that took place, if you have to do it, you have to do it. But if you don't just go spend the money. Like that's, don't spend it because you have a budget that you need to make sure you hit that budget. Otherwise, you're not going to get that same amount again. And what he says is like, I couldn't imagine having to go to have a greens committee that's going to tell me what to do, or have to go and explain myself to this, and then it has to go to a committee, and then you've got to kind of goes up the ladder and then back down, and then you get an answer. He comes to us and he gets an answer like right away. Like it's if you need to do it, okay, do it. And well, when can I do it? Well, like go do it. Like it's and so he's great, and he's incredible, and affectionately known on his name's Pete Sanuda, and so affectionately known on our social channels, and a lot of golfers have called him that, what I call him, Super Pete. So he's awesome.
I need a video. You guys got to do a social video when you got downtime in the winter. Is a fake greens committee meeting at Copetown Woods. Yeah. I think that would be absolutely hilarious. And you have to play all the characters too in the video. So you get a mustache on one, and you have to dress like an old lady in the other. I think we got a great video lined up. That one's free. That one's a free idea.
I'll be a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, and for all of them, I'm mostly the expert as in turf management, right? So
in turf management, yeah. Geez, you hang out with one social media person, you think you're an expert?
Oh, I got all that. I'm an expert. I'm an expert in everything.
Talking about your superintendent there for a second, when we spoke about COVID, obviously just this massive influx of golfers, and it hasn't slowed down. One of the things you mentioned, which I think probably a lot of people don't think about, right, is maintenance. More traffic, more footprints, all of this on the golf course, and as you said, one of the biggest expenses in the golf course is the labor. So like, as this, obviously everyone thinks, okay, more golfers going through the golf course, that's great, but how has things like maintenance, turf management, all of that, how has that had to change as you have just that much more traffic coming through the course?
Yeah, I think it's changed in the way that Pete and his crew manage the golf course day to day. It changes in even from the how firm he wants the turf to be. How if the greens are just a little bit more, and I'm not part of a greens committee, and I'm not an expert in any of it, but Steph, you were kind of just saying earlier, of just the firmness of the conditions. So having the greens and the the fairways and the tee boxes, having things a little that much just a little bit more firm, that helps in the in that wear and tear. It helps in the ball marks. It helps in all of that kind of thing. So so all of that makes those decisions that I think Pete probably just kind of had to read and react like a quarterback and figure out how different. And it's not blanket of okay, this is what we're going to do. It's, well, the soil type on this hole is a little bit more dense than this really sandy part of it. So like, this hole needs to be treated different than this. It's it's like you got multiple kids. It's like, okay, the personality of this kid, you got 18 kids, and so this personality of this one is different than that one. So you've got to manage that. And so he's been really he's been awesome in that, and in being able to do so. And so and now we're again creating efficiencies, and from a technology standpoint, we're in the autonomous game now. Where we started 2 years ago with one mower, just kind of as a test of a rough mower, and so that's grown. We've got 5 now, and it's not, those aren't things they're not taking away a job. They're creating efficiencies in that extra maintenance that that needs to be done, or maybe some extra kind of care that needs to be done. Attentive to certain aspects, and stupid little things of edging cart paths and edging around trees and mulching and those types of things, that the little things that when you go to a course where you can tell people give a shit, those are the little things that you can see. It's the boxes, the decks are flat, the core of the golf course, the tees, fairways, and greens are all in great condition. But then you kind of look over to the side, and you can see that, the other things are also being taken care of, and that's where all that kind of stuff helps.
All right, I got one more question. Maybe my only gripe that we might debate here, Barry. So in COVID, they said can't have rakes in your bunkers, and
Yep.
you decided we're never having rakes in our bunkers again. Talk me through the process.
Yep.
Convince me this was the best move for your golf course.
So COVID happened, rakes had to come out. We got the industry got the green light to put rakes back in. People still didn't do them. People got used to it. They just kind of, walked away if they forgot. They probably would have kind of retrained their brain over time. But you tell me, and be honest, how many times have you gone into a bunker where your ball has been in a spot where the person in front of you didn't rake the ball properly, didn't rake where they hit properly, didn't rake their footprint properly, and you're in some indent, and then put yourself in the shoes of a new golfer, of a high handicapper, and tell me how you think that is a good way to grow the game, that it's a good way to manage the golf course efficiently. And so I'm not even going to let you answer that because I already know the answer. But
Steph will have to answer this one because I'm in the fairway all the time, Barry. But this guy, he's all over the map.
They don't have bunkers in the woods, so me and Brad Lawrence are good. Yeah.
So that is basically it. Is from a common sense standpoint of, if I don't have to have our turf crew get off the bunker rake, and move, get those rakes out, making sure they're out. If I don't have to have the guy that's on the mower get off his mower and go around each bunker and have 4 or 5 rakes around each bunker, move them, cut, and then get off again, move them back, only to not have them raked. I don't know what a percentage would be. It's different at every golf course. For being a public golf course, it would be lower than a private golf course for sure. But I've played 2 different private courses this year, and I go into bunkers, and I literally, like the last one I was at, I went and got my phone. I'm like, okay, perfect example. Bunkers not raked or not raked perfectly. And this is me as, I've had these conversations with Golf Canada, and I'm on the Golf Canada Industry Advisory Council, which is funny because I kind of got my wrist slapped a few years ago when I said that we weren't putting rakes back in. You can move your ball, you can do whatever. And I got my wrist slapped because, that goes against handicapping, and it's a 2-stroke penalty if you do this, and it's a 2-stroke penalty if you do that, or whatever it is. But what I kind of say, from an industry standpoint, we are so lucky that the game has grown so much over the last number of years because of COVID. If you were a part of a business or an industry that sold face masks, plexiglass, or golf, you significantly benefited from COVID. And I do not hide behind it. Nobody should hide behind it. But how are we going to do that? So that growth in the game of new golfers or golfers that started playing more, why are we making it harder for them? Bunkers for golfers are not easy. There's a reason that this new golf course that we're trying to build is not going to have a bunker on it, because then I don't have to get shit for people telling me that I don't have rakes. But again, so it comes down to police yourself, play it how you decide you want to play it. We maintain those bunkers every single morning. They're perfect every morning. If your ball goes in, and there is a 97% chance it's going to go into the bunker, and it's going to go in an area that is untouched. If it gets into somewhere that, if you want to play it as it lies, like, have at her. But from a golfer's experience of just go and have fun, like, and again, I can't tell people what to do or tell people how to enjoy golf, or, how they want to spend their time and their money. But just go out and enjoy yourself, and don't make it harder than it needs to be. And again, those savings that we save in rakes and in labor of getting, and people would be surprised at actually how much time that turns out to be every single day. It adds up, right? And so if we don't have that additional expense, well, guess what? Those green fees maybe don't go up as much. Now, that would be a nominal fee of by the time you kind of extrapolate that across 35 to 40,000 rounds of golf, but every little bit counts. So that's my long-winded answer to say we don't have rakes, and it's a funny thing because it's like we're known for like broccoli and no rakes.
I think it's I don't disagree with your why by any means, and you can also even go, hey, like a bunker back when golf started, there was no rake. It was a hazard for a reason. If you're in a footprint, that's bad luck, and that's golf, right? And if you want to put that on the back of your scorecards, like, hey, if you want to use it for handicap purposes, don't move your ball, and hey, that's golf, right? Sometimes you get bad lies, right? So
people do way more egregious stuff outside of the bunkers to manipulate the handicap anyway.
Oh, exactly.
100%. Yeah, no, and again, I don't want to be like this, I'm not trying to be like this like unicorn in the world of golf, but at the same time, this is, we're running our business the way that, the way that I see who our golfers are and how they're enjoying themselves and how they want to do it. It works for us. It's not going to work for everybody, and it's not going to work for every golfer, and that's okay. I mean, again, we're not something for everyone. But if no rakes and bunkers, that might happen to somebody, once around. If that's the biggest thing people are worried about, or biggest complaint, I'm okay with that.
Just call them waste areas, and then no one knows, right?
No, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, Barry, really want to thank you for coming on. So for all of our listeners in Ontario or elsewhere, if you're looking for a good golf trip, Copetown Woods, just northwest of Hamilton. One of the, I was looking up, I haven't had the chance to play yet. I hope to get down this year. But if you want to read any of the reviews online, I think they back up everything that Steph says. One of the premier, not just the premier public courses, but any course in the southwestern Ontario region. So get yourself out to Copetown Woods. And Barry, again, really appreciate the time, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, and if anybody wants their algorithm completely ruined on Instagram, follow us on Copetown Woods, at Copetown Woods. You'll,
absolutely.
I'm not afraid to look stupid.
Only if you promise to do the Steph's idea of the green committee video.
I changed my mind. I actually want to be on the fake greens committee in the video. That's him.
You can be the chair. You're the chair.
You're the chair.
I'm the chair. I like it. I will sit there. I'll come in my best suit. I'll have a gavel. I'll be the judge.
You didn't even wear a suit to my wedding.
Yeah, well, didn't know. Surprise. But Barry, appreciate it. Look forward. Hopefully we're able to cross paths later this year at Copetown.
Okay. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers. Yeah, wow. Awesome chat. And Barry, you dropped Christine Fraser in there, and I know you've spoken about her a little bit, designing that new 10-hole facility there. Hopefully at one point someone else that we can get on the pod. But another great guest. Yeah, that was really cool. We had a ton of technical difficulties throughout the interview. Our camera kept turning off. I'm sure Cole did a great job in the editing. I'm assuming I didn't edit anything.
At some point, it'll look great on there. But no, Barry's always great. If you're in the area, definitely get up to Copetown Woods. It's one of my favorites, and hopefully you get to experience it this year.
Yeah, I definitely. And I actually forgot to say to him because, as you know, my wife started golfing a little bit, but she's sort of like, hey, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And talking about the golf trip we're on at the weekend, she made it through the second round on Sunday. She made it through 15 holes. But she's always said, she's like, man, why 18? Like, why can't we play like 12? And so I'm going to tell her about, when this, hopefully, this new facility at Copetown, the ladies can go play the 10-hole, and we'll meet them in the clubhouse afterwards.
I think a golf course where it loops back every 6 holes is a genius design, where you loop back and you can buy 6 holes, you can buy 12, you can buy 18. I think that would be a genius design for sure. But I get it. I get it.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, again, big thanks to Barry. Check the, actually, I'll put it up on the screen, all of Copetown Woods' socials. And if you're in Ontario or maybe you're south of the border or whatever it is, you're looking for a great public facility, top of the line, and reading a lot of the notes, reviews about Copetown is that, there's private members that go there that like, hey, my club could learn a lot from here. So
absolutely.
if you're looking for a great experience, get yourself down just outside of Hamilton in Ontario. But as you always do, help us out, like and subscribe, do all of that jazz, and we'll review the Canadian Open next week, but it's going to be a big week coming up, Shinnecock Hills, for the US Open.
I'll be prepared. I will be fully prepared.
We are going to
break down what to expect from the golf course.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff. If you want to get ahead of it, Fried Egg has some great videos out there on it. I think we maybe draft a little bit of our favorite US Opens and... Yeah, full U.S. Open coverage.
Yeah, we'll get a preview going, and of course we have both Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth going for the Grand Slam. So who knows? We'll do the full.
No, Jordan has the U.S. Open. He needs a PGA.
Oh wait, he's the PGA. Wow, I suck. Man, I really do a good
job.
You're
a little foggy. Maybe I don't know what my weekend looks like. Maybe I can pull some strings. We can get together and record the back nine on Sunday together.
There we go.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
That would be really fun.
Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week for the US Open preview. Big thanks again to Barry from Copetown Woods, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Peace.